Hello. Before you say anything, yes, I know, I'm ridiculous. Okay, so to bring you up to speed, I started out with one of these. I then went for this, then decided it was too big and went for this. Immediately afterwards, you don't know this, I went for this because this was slightly too small, and then immediately after getting this, I realised this was slightly too small, and so I have now got one of these again. So yes, I apparently don't know a good thing when I've got it. I learnt something about myself. So what this video will be something of deja vu for a lot of you, and rather frustrating for me. I'm going to be tearing down this absolutely fantastic pedal board that I really love, in favour of building up yet another Novo 32 board. The reason why I am tearing this board down when I love it so much is because there are a handful of pedals that I really want to use, and I can't because there's just no room. So that's why I got this one originally, is because I figured I'll just get the next size up. That won't be too drastic a change. I'll have just enough room then to add the extra pedals I want. And then obviously when it came, I realised, that's actually not that much room. Ideally, if Pedal Train made a Novo 26, that would be perfect, I think. But as it stands, the next one up is this. So that's basically what this video is going to be. I'm going to be tearing this board back down to its foundations, and I'm going to be putting together yet another Novo 32 board. So deja vu, possibly, but it'll be fun. Some of the pedals that I had in mind to go on here, some of the ones I really wanted, are this one. You haven't seen this yet. This is an updated, almost a version 1.5, you could say, of my Gristle Throbber, which you have seen before. This is the Mighty Boosh one, and this is the new one. The reason why I have this now is he now offers top jacks, and also an expression input for the speed parameter. So I had to have it. Being that it has the expression input, obviously I need to add an expression pedal to be able to make the most of that. So while I have plans to put that on my board, I also plan to bring this onto my board, which is the Hot Tone Soul Press 2. This, I think, will be a slightly more versatile expression, volume and wah option compared to my Dunlop DVP4. Great though it is, you have to basically choose whether you want to use the single auxiliary output on it as either a tuner output or an expression. What this has is a tuner output and an expression output. So you can use it for both, and I think I will. So that's going to go on there somewhere. And the other pedal that I had in mind, which also kind of requires an expression pedal, so I'm not quite sure what to do about that, is this. This is the Coriolis effect by Catlin Bread. This is a really unique pedal. I've not come across anything that can do quite what this can do. It's quite a simple pedal in itself, but it's just genius. You've got essentially a, I don't know how many milliseconds, maybe 300 or 400 millisecond long fixed length looper, which they call hold, but it is basically a looper, but a very, very, very short one. So you can either play an extended note and hit the switch, like that even, and you will get a sustained single note, or you can play a single note, press it, and you will capture a stutter effect, which is very cool. In parallel to that, within the pedal, there is another circuit that runs through, which is kind of like a tape stop kind of a thing. So it's kind of like a reverse playback, like a live playback thing. So yeah, that's where the expression comes in, and it makes a lot of very cool sounds. So that, I think, has to go on there, because it's just too weird to not use, basically. The other pedal I wanted to put on here is my trusty Digitech DigiDelay, mainly for the loop mode in mode 7. This basically does some similar things to the Coriolis effect, I think, with the hold at least, but it's not fixed. So you can basically hold it down and play as long a loop as you want. I don't think there's a limit on how long a loop you can record. There probably is. It's a long loop time anyway, so it's perfectly usable as a loop pedal if you want to use it that way. But you can also use it for stutter effects as well by pressing it for a very short time. So I want to put that on there as well, just to have some variety. I could have both stuttering at the same time. That would be cool. As you can see, I've got plenty of room left. But those are the 4 main pedals I wanted to add to this board. The fact that I do have extra room for other stuff in addition to this is just exciting. I do have a couple of pedals that are on the way, but they're maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks away from getting here. So realistically, probably not going to make it onto this board, but yeah, I have a few ideas of what else can go on here, but that's for you to find out. Right now, probably tomorrow actually. Tomorrow I am going to strip this board down. You're going to see that on a hyperlapse. Won't take long at all, because look at it, it's so small. And then I'm going to be doing the fun part, which is reorganising, putting this board together. See you tomorrow. Well, today is here, and it's time. It's time to tear this mother down. It's been a great board. I've really enjoyed this. But it's time to go. It's time to say goodbye, and I'm really looking forward actually to having all of these pedals return in addition to a bunch of other cool stuff. So it's time for hyperlapse mode. Okay, it's done. I admit part of me feels kind of sad for just doing that, but I feel less sad when I look at this board. Oh yeah, it's back. It's back, baby. So, as you can see, this is a significant size upgrade from before. So now I'm pretty keen to have an initial setup and test out the possible potential layouts that I could go with on this board now that I've got all this room. So the rough layout that I had in mind for this was kind of keeping to the previous one, in the sense that I'll have my synth somewhere up here. Count to 5, although it was next to it over here, was actually at the end of the chain, so I'll go with a little bit more of a straightforward placement for this. That'll probably go somewhere up here, I'm guessing. Tremolo again at the end of my chain, almost, so that's going to go somewhere there, I'm guessing, as well. My drive section, I think, will change a little bit, because I've been having a lot of fun with both of these pedals, but I'm also starting to kind of find myself only really using one sound on each, and although it's great, I kind of want to try out something a little bit more of a simple, streamlined kind of a thing. So I'm thinking of replacing these two with that and that. So sticking with Energy FX for my distortion tone, I think I'm going to try the Rat Bender, because it's a truly astonishing sounding blend of Rat and Tone Bender. So you've got a really nice fuzzy, extremely saturated kind of version of that classic fuzz tone. And this is my Demiurge Instruments Chroma Drive, which I also absolutely adore. Kind of wanted to put on my last board, but didn't have the space. Obviously now, that's not an issue, so I'm definitely having this on here. I haven't even Velcroed these pedals yet. That's going to obviously have to get done soon. I have to Velcro a whole bunch of stuff to go on here. So yeah, these two are going to go somewhere there, I'm guessing. The bleep is definitely staying. However, Michael at Energy FX very, very generously has let me swap this bleep for this bleep. So as you can see, I've gone from orange to green. So I am a basic bitch who much prefers the green and the matching green knob to the more limited edition orange colour that I have here. So I much prefer the green. Thank you, Michael, for being so gracious to let me swap with you, because he's a bigger man than I am and does not care about these puny things. So yeah, the bleep is going to go there. I'm going to have to obviously put some Velcro on that one as well. There is one other pedal I wanted to add on the last board, but again ran out of space, and that is this. This is the Dirty Haggard Audio and Fuzz Imp collaboration pedal, the DAF. This is a single knob, obviously, fuzz. This is just absolutely insane. This is huge sounding fuzz. I really, really enjoyed this pedal. Huge thanks as well to Gated Fuzz on Reddit for sending me this pedal that he had bought for himself. And he even added this really cool vintage knob on here as well, which I really love. The Super Ego and Multi-Stomp combo is going to remain unchanged. I think that's going to stay. Actually, that might go somewhere in the middle here, I think. And then the two foot switches underneath, like that somewhere. That's just a rough idea, rough guide of where I think they're going to go. Elastic mattress. That again, I think is probably going to have to go sideways somewhere in here, possibly with another couple of pedals. So probably some of these mini ones, because they're quite useful for fitting into these smaller spaces. So if I stick with the previous arrangement of having the Tender Octava and the Mua synth, next to each other because their outputs are staggered in the right direction, and it just kind of works. So my phaser, I like before my drives, but I'll probably place it here. All of these, of course, will again be in the loop of the SY200. You may notice there's a space up the top here, and a lot of you probably already suspect what's about to happen here. And of course, Miku is back. Boom. Miku is once again where it belongs. I might put both of these up on a riser, but I'll deal with that later. This is just a rough idea about where things are going to go. Oh man, this is awesome. Like, pretty much everything I had before is on this board, and I've already got so much extra space. It's fantastic. I also want to add this wobble vibrato by Labs, although they've now changed their name to Glowfly. So this is the Glowfly pedal now with the top jacks and everything. I think this is going to make a pretty good inclusion on this board, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice having a dedicated vibrato pedal because I do like me some vibrato. That will probably go somewhere up here, I think. Another thing I was thinking of adding on here, which hasn't been on my board for quite a while actually, is my rubber neck. So I absolutely ruddy adore this pedal. It's one of the best delay pedals I've ever owned. I adore it. And it has top jacks as well, which is useful. So that could go somewhere up here, potentially, like again right up against the wobble. And then there's still room for another pedal. So digi-delay, I explained before, I like this in the loop mode for instant stuttery effects. I also kind of like the Coriolis effect for the same thing. So that could go... Ooh, could I go there? Have I got space for that? That might be a challenge, but possibly doable. Maybe if I move this down a little bit, I might have enough room for the power to go in there and still have this here. That could be cool. That would be awesome to have this squeezed into this space as well. I think I'm probably only going to have room for one of these two pedals. So, yeah, sorry, Dunlop. You've been awesome, but I think Hot Tone is going to win this. The only question is where to put it. It'll probably go on a riser somewhere, but I'm kind of leaning maybe to putting it up here somewhere. That could work quite nicely. And then there's plenty of space for the elastic mattress to come in here. EQ and tuner, I'm not too 100% sure where to put these just yet. Depending on what I do here, I could have these arranged in a slightly more efficient way. Maybe if I put them down a bit further, I might be able to get away with having something arranged here. So I might be able to have the EQ up here or something. I could have the E7 like that. In fact, that would probably have to move over a little bit. I don't know, I'm not sure. Then I'm thinking I might have plenty of space up here then to put the polytune. I'm going to have to come back and think about this a little bit more. But anyway, so far I think that kind of works as a layout for this end. Which leaves me a whole bunch of room here. So let me see if I've got anything else that I want to put in here. Oh man, this is going to get difficult, as I knew it would. Okay, so I'm not done. I've really missed having reverb on my board, so I'm thinking that this 100% has to go on here, in which case I might have to bunch a few things up. Maybe actually I might move the gristle throbber further down. That might work. Not too keen on mounting things sideways like this, but sometimes it just has to be done. So initially, that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing with that. Oh, ooh, actually, that would be perfect for mounting sideways because the text is already sideways. All of the jacks are on one side, and the foot switch is kind of aimed at a top angle. So yeah, that actually makes more sense. Let's go with that. The particle. Do I use this or do I replace it with the Echo Park? Do I take the Echo Park off and use this instead? That's the question. I'll come back to this again. It's going to be a toss-up between keeping this and keeping this. I think one of these two has to go, one has to stay. Especially when I've got unique pedals like this that I really, really want to have on here. The Synthwire, it needs to come back. I do miss it. It's fantastic. In fact, it would actually look quite cool next to the Digital A. But yeah, we'll see. The Gristle Throbber then would go quite nicely next to it. Or I could place them like that. Because why not? Rockery, it's a great pedal. It does a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, I think I've kind of got everything that this can do covered already on here. That brings me back to this bad boy. So yeah, the Supernatural has to come on here. It has to make it onto this board because there's just the only other source of reverb is in the multi-stomp, and it does a lot of great things, but the reverbs aren't as spectacular as what this can do. Obviously, it's easy to find a spot when I know one of these two is going to have to go and one's going to stay. The fact that this has side jacks kind of makes me think maybe I should take this one off, but it can do so much, and it has tap tempo, it has an amazing reverse mode in it. You can make it sound either tape, digital, or analog, which is amazing. And it's quite tall as well, which also, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it actually is really useful when you're trying to reach foot switches and stuff. If you've got a pedal that's tall, that stands above other stuff, it makes it so much easier to hit with your foot, and that you don't even need to use risers. Took me so long to Velcro. Look at the state of this. Line 6, what were you thinking? Can you see? There's like the base plate of these. When you tear the rubber off, you get these stupid ridges in the bottom. And this is the only satisfying or proper way to add Velcro to these pedals. It's a pain in the arse. Anyway, I digress. I think that's going to have to come off and be replaced by this. This has presets as well, which also kind of decides it. Plus, you've got the freeze mode. You've got a whole bunch of the extra glitchy things that it can do. Pitch reverse, LFO, random modes. It's awesome. There's a massive amount of things that this pedal can do. And it has the top jacks. It's just, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. That then leaves plenty of room for the Supernatural, and I think I'm done, people. I think that is my board. Let me just bunch that up a little bit. I will put risers on the back row, I think, so I think all of these will be raised up a little bit, or maybe just these 4 actually. I don't know. We'll see how that goes later on when I finally when I come down to arranging this a little bit more efficiently. I wonder if I could move this here and then move this up here. I wonder how that would look. That actually works quite nicely, to be honest. I quite like that. I'm going to have to take some time to think about that a bit more, I think. But for the time being, I think that's a pretty damn good looking board. So I will come back to this again, I think. I'll probably take a another day to think this through a little bit more and maybe try a few different layout ideas, just move things around a little bit, and I'll come back to you maybe tomorrow. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow. I've had a few days to think about this board, and I've decided that I'm almost happy, but not enough to go with this layout. There are a few things that I do like about what I've got so far. These two I really like being here. This I like being here as well. This will probably stay pretty much the same. And my drive section and synth, Miku, this lot will pretty much stay, I think, as it is. Everything else I'm not 100% sure on, basically. You'll notice I put this down here. I can't remember if I mentioned this before or not. But yeah, I'm quite happy with this position here because the power input doesn't get in the way or anything there. And the top jacks obviously help quite a bit there as well. So that's okay, I guess. But I don't know, I'm not really happy with the general look of it, and also I don't like the accessibility issues that I think I might have as well with hitting a lot of these foot switches. So basically my plan is now to tear most of this board down and just basically try again with a bit more of a clean slate. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right. Okay, I think I'm done. So it's taken me a couple of hours of fiddling around and messing with different layouts and things, but I think I'm there now. So have a look. What do you think? Okay, so let's get a better overhead view here. So it's changed quite a bit, if you'll remember. A few things are basically the same, as I said before. A lot of the stuff up here is the same down here, and most of the drive section is pretty much the same as well. Along the back and the middle and some of the front here is probably the biggest areas that I've changed. I've tried to keep the back row, occupying most of it with top jack pedals. So as you can see, most of these are all top jacks. I've also tried to be smart about putting pedals that have got just the one foot switch in the middle of all of these pedals that have two foot switches. So apart from this one, so pretty much all of the pedals that I had on here before are still here, so that's good. Cabling wise, I have also tried to be pretty smart. You'll notice pretty much everything has enough space around it to plug in. Obviously the riser here, let me just turn this torch on. There we go. The riser in there, I don't know if you can see that the sole press is on, gives some room to plug the Super Ego in. It also has enough clearance to plug into the many jacks that are on the side. Then you've got around this side, you don't need, or I don't need, the output on the Polytune, because that just plugs just straight from the input into the tuner output on there. So I don't need to worry about that. The EQ pedal I don't really need access to. Anyway, I've already talked through this board, this various, all my thoughts about layout and accessibility and signal chain and all of that. So I'm not going to go over it again. Obviously, I've just moved a few of these things around a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is, well, right now I'm probably going to leave it because I've spent enough time on this for one night. But no, what I'm going to do is I think probably tomorrow is I'm going to tackle plugging all of this lot in. So join me tomorrow and we'll have a little bit of a time-lapse thing going on tomorrow, so you can see everything being plugged in for the first time. Bye! Well, tomorrow is here, and it's time to cable all of this lot up. So, without further ado, it's time-lapse time! Man, okay, that's done. I think let's review this. I haven't done the power yet, but it's taken me, I don't know, feels like about 2 hours. I think it's about 2 hours just to do the cabling, and I won't know until I've plugged everything in and got it turned on, powered up, whether I've made any mistakes or not. But I think I've got everything covered. So I got kind of lost halfway through doing this. Basically, the Super Ego's effects loop comes down into, where are we? Into this one, and then that has its own effects loop with the multi-stomp in. The output of this then goes into this, which then goes back into the return of the Super Ego. So I think I've got everything plugged in the right way round, ins and outs on the right sides of everything. But again, I won't know for sure if I've done that right until I power everything up. The other thing I'm not too happy about is this. So there's a bit of contact there, which I'm not happy about, and on the corner here as well, you'll see. So it's not fully resting on the riser, which I'm not exactly over the moon about. I'm going to try and see if I can move some things over a tad. I mean, I could move the digidelay up a little bit, and then everything else move up a little tiny fraction, and then that might just give me enough then to clear that. But then even if I do, these are making more contact than I would like, so you can see, yeah, I'm not happy about that. I can't even use a different cable in there because that's the auxiliary output, which requires a TRS, and the only TRS cable I've got that is long enough to get from here over to here is this pancake one. So if I had a slightly narrower TRS cable to go in there, I would use it, but I do not. Right, that's it for the time being. I think I'm kind of exhausted. I want to go get myself something to eat, and then I'll probably come back and power this on later on. So yeah, hopefully the powering won't take as long to do. But yeah, we'll see. hopefully with my two CS12s, which are mounted underneath, which I now realise I did not film, I will be able to power everything digital and noisy analog clock stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to power all with isolated outputs, and then I can chain everything else. I'm literally exhausted. You may notice as well, before I go, I did plug one power lead in. That is there, because after plugging all of the cables into this bad boy, I really couldn't face pulling it back off the board to squeeze that power jack in there. So I thought, I'm doing that now while I can. So I think future Phil will thank me for doing that. Yes, that's it. I'm going to go and have something to eat, and then I'll come back and finish this off in a little bit. Ugh, man. Okay. I've not long woken up, and I was up late last night, like till 4 o'clock. But it's finished! Okay, I got it done at like 1 o'clock, but then I spent about 3 hours just playing through different sounds, and I got it set up spot on the first time. I cannot believe that happened with such a big board as this. So I'm going to now take you for a quick guide and a quick spin around this board, and maybe talk through the signal chain. Okay, so you've already seen this already laid out, although I did end up having to make a couple of changes. You'll notice the tuner and later and later delay have switched places. Initially I felt it was going to be nice and convenient to have the top jacks of this tucked away under there, and then I'd have a lot more room up this end to squeeze these three in. Unfortunately, I didn't factor in how tall the power jack is on this pedal. The jack fits just about underneath the riser, but then I left a gap at the front for the other output and the power jack. However, the overhang of the sole press, there you go, you can see now, didn't clear the power. So that was annoying. I ended up having to undo all of that just to be able to make this work. Anyway, apart from that, everything is as you saw it before. Signal chain. Let's run through this as quickly as possible. I'll see if I can actually remember everything. So first in the chain is the Tender Octava Mark 1. That is going into the SY200. Out of this, we have the effects send going into a bunch of stuff. First of all is the Miku. So everything that's in the effects loop of this, in case you hadn't already seen this on my other video with the SY1, basically everything in the effects loop will run parallel to the effects that are in this. So basically you can use drive pedals, fuzz, all that kind of good stuff alongside the synth, so that the synth doesn't get bogged down by any of the distortion or other effects you might want to use. You can hear both side by side at the same time, unaffected by each other. So I've got the Miku first in the effects loop, then that comes down to the synth wah. From there it goes over to the bleep. You're probably realising at this point there is a lot of jumping around going on in this board. From the bleep it goes a little bit more straightforward. DAF, fuzz, chroma drive, wrap bender. That goes, oh yeah, up into the glitch wave 567. Really happy to have this back on my board after last time. This time I've been able to give it isolated power, so there's no noise issues going on at all with this pedal, which I'm very pleased about. That is basically the last pedal in the chain in the effects loop, so that green cable goes all the way back up here into the return. Then we've got this cable from the SY200, comes down into the EQ pedal. That's basically always on. That then comes up into the volume pedal, so it hasn't got a very long journey to make. Yeah, I like my volume pedals after my drives and stuff, so that's the logical place to put it. I think that goes into, yeah, I think that goes into here, into the bypass loop pedal that is isolating the multi-stomp. The output of that then comes up into the super ego. Then in the effects loop of the super ego, as I said before, I've got this isolator switch keeping the stereo inputs of the multi-stomp in its loop. Then into the synth E7, which I mainly use as an arpeggiator. That then comes back obviously into the return of the super ego's effects loop. Moving on, that's probably the most complicated area of this board, so it gets a little bit more simpler after that. The output of the super ego comes up here into the rubber neck, so I like having analog delay kind of first in the delay kind of chain, really, if I can. Oh crap, I think I forgot about the phase. Where did that come now? Okay, so yeah, I was getting confused because the input cable I'm using there looks the same as another one. So yes, that is before my drive section, even though it's all the way up here. It's the Korg Miku Stomp output comes from there all the way across to the stage phaser, then into the synth wah. That's right, then it goes into the bleep and the rest. So yeah, get there in the end. Back to the rubber neck. The rubber neck then has its output here, doesn't go very far, I can easily see where this goes, over into my particle. I'm using this mostly as a digital delay, just as a regular digital delay, but it obviously also has a whole bunch of other cool features and sounds that it can do. That then, following the green cable, that comes over here into the gristle throbber. So this does a lot of very weird and cool stuff. Lots of tremolo, square wave kind of pulsy stuff, also with fuzz as well. So there's some really cool modulation sounds and stuff that you can get out of this. That's really cool to have on here for some weirdness. Then some braided cable action coming out of that. That's coming up into the counter 5. Again, I'm using that mostly in mode 1 for a fairly simple, straightforward live playback, which I can either choose reverse playback or accelerated playback. And then it's basically just a choice of how big a sample size you want and then how long you want that sample to play back for. So, oh yeah, and the mix obviously as well. You can dial in a lot of it, or maybe just a touch in the background, just giving a little bit of cool ambient accompaniment in the background. Yeah, so I love that pedal. Coming out of that, got a blue cable here, another blue one, following that all the way down here to the wobble vibrato. I love this thing, and it's so fantastic to finally have this on an actual board. I can't tell you, it's brilliant. And the tone knob on this lets you get some really cool vinyl-esque, kind of almost like generation loss kind of style, worn out tape kind of sound. So you can get a really slow tempo on there. You can use obviously the tempo knob there, or tempo switch I mean, or you can use the rate knob to manually slow it way down. You can see just like how slow it can really go. It's like, what? There's like barely any movement. Or super fast. So yeah, great pedal, love that thing. And then coming out of there, that goes all the way up here into the Red Mountain Tremolo. I like to have that after a lot of my delays. Usually set to a preset that I have stored on here, which is a very fast square wave tremolo for some really choppy modulation stuff. That doesn't go very far at all. That travels across next door to the Supernatural reverb. That's one of my probably most favourite reverb pedals of all time. Amazing, huge sounding lexicon algorithms going on there. That then comes down into the Coriolis effect, which is connected, as I said before, to the expression input on the Soul Press 2. That is currently in the volume mode, as you can see by the lights lighting up. That's the active volume circuit. But then clicking it forward, it turns it off and it becomes a passive expression, which you can then use for the for controlling the Coriolis effect. So that's really cool. The output of that then comes down into the digi-delay, which is the last in the chain, and then I can use that as a stutter hold kind of looper thing. So I can get a really kind of interesting... I can use it as a looper, or I can use it as a stutter glitch kind of pedal. So I realised this halfway through doing that, I realised I'd completely forgotten about these two. So yeah, I got mixed up, I think, with the order of things here. I think the elastic mattress comes just before the isolated multi-stomp pedal. Pretty sure that, yeah, I think the Soul Press comes out of there into the elastic mattress flanger, and then that comes then into here. The white of this, I got confused with the Super Ego. That then comes up into the later and later delay, and because the output is also white, I got confused. Then it comes into the Super Ego. Okay, that's everything, and you can see how easy it was for me to get completely confused and lost in all that lot. I might play through some basic sounds now, but I have also got band practice tonight, so you will be able to see this later on in a live setting. So, let's play through some sounds. Bye.